right. So, wrapping this series up, I want you guys to understand why it's going to be important for you to have healthy relationships. And I'm speaking from my context. My context is in a black young adult living within an urban context, So that's kind of the folks that I'm speaking to, young black urban adult. This goes for everybody, but specifically I'm trying to show you how the ramifications or the impact that healthy relationships can have on not just you and your family, but on society as a whole. And so I want to kind of touch on the socioeconomic aspects of relationships really quickly. And what we tend to not understand is the impact that divorce has on society. And most of you guys know that around 50% of relationships today end in divorce. And as a matter of fact, me, part of my context is that I'm a Christian, and one of the studies that showed that people who the church actually has a slightly higher divorce rate than non-church folk, which is crazy, But watch this. What you don't understand is part of my context also is one of being divorced, right? So watch divorce. Watch how divorce impacts a society. You have a family today. So I guess technically some people say that the recession is over, but for a lot of us, we still experience recession-like circumstances, okay? So in most of our households, speaking as a young adult black man, most households probably require two incomes, one from the man and one from the woman, in order for that household to really be able to thrive, right? And for some, you need that just to be able to survive. So especially to thrive, you kind of need the income from a man and from the woman. And the difficulty with divorce, and the difficulty that we have when we don't choose wisely and correctly when choosing a spouse, is that if your relationship does end up in divorce, it's hard enough trying to maintain a household with two incomes. And then now all of a sudden you have two people who have to, support two separate households based off of one income, right? And so that becomes challenging. And so when we talk about supporting each other's businesses or what have you, it becomes really difficult to support each other's businesses when you don't feel like you even have the finances to do so, because you have already you're stemming from a broken home. Now watch this. I forgot who I was reading, but I was reading up on something and they made a good point. How do you expect, especially within African American communities, how do you expect to be able to have a mindset to support each other's businesses when you haven't even necessarily learned how to deal with the challenges and to be supportive of the people within your own household, right? And so when you haven't learned how to begin to operate as one within the family, and the family is the first place and the main place where you should learn to be able to live as one, how can you begin to live as one with the people outside of your own household? Like, how does that work? It becomes difficult because you have not seen an example of oneness within the home. It's hard for you to have that impact and to see how to operate as one outside of the home, okay? And so, and also watch this, it becomes hard for you to invest. It becomes hard for you to start your own businesses when, like your familial circumstances aren't where you feel that they need to be. And so then also, there constantly becomes this cycle that goes over and over and over again of this broken relationship, generation after generation feeds into broken relationships, until because of broken relationships, you have broken finances, and because of broken finances, we have broken societies. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm really trying, and it goes so much deeper than just that, right? But what I'm trying to help you guys to understand is that I really feel like some of the challenges that we go through within within an urban context, especially amongst African Americans, and sometimes I know that the Latin American and the Hispanic cultures also go through it sometimes. Also, is that, and the Caribbean American, is that when that family isn't tight, it's hard to have a community that's tight. You know, some other cultures, somebody actually brought up a good point the other day, and it actually caused me to think about certain things. They said, listen, whereas most of us usually say, yo, you know what, you shouldn't stay together for the sake of the children. I know that's one thing that I could, and truthfully, I think I still kind of lean towards that side, like, because I feel like a marriage is about the two people that are in the marriage together. And if children are going to have a healthy example of what marriage should look like, and, you know, it might be better for them to not be at odds with each other while, you know, on a daily basis in front of each other. But this person actually caused me to think, and I might be actually changing my position on that, because they said, can we stop being selfish long enough to say, yo, you know what? Our marriage is not just about us, but our marriage is actually about our kids also, you know? And so for the sake of the kids, would we be willing to put the difficulties that we've had aside and to not go through a divorce and to come up with solutions to the problems that we're having in order that this next generation can be able to live and say, yo, you know, we are a generation that grew up with both of our parents and understood, and watch this, saw what real sacrifice on both parents was, because even though they could have gone their separate ways, they decided to stay together, right? And I know that it's easier said than done, and I by no means would I try to say that it's not easier said than done, because I mean, I'm speaking from a divorced context. I told you guys already that I'm divorced. So, but what if we could be the first generation that says, yo, you know what? We're going to be the ones to start having good, healthy relationships, exciting relationships, and relationships that even when the threat of divorce is there, we will keep it together some way, somehow, so that our children, you know, will be able to see families that are whole, and our societies, our communities will begin to be able to operate as one and with a certain amount of wholeness to it, so that generations down the line, man, we will have more healthy. I believe that, you know, the violence that we see, the poverty that we see, a lot of the ills in our society in the cities might begin to change if the relationships, if the family structure and the family unit begins to change. So, man, I could talk on this stuff all day. I kind of just shot a lot of ideas through the series out there, but I'm hoping that it'll, you know, some people will ask some questions, some really pointed questions, so that I can get some even more specific with you guys, and give you guys some real things that I feel that are going to help you as you go on in your relationship journey. So listen, this is Coach Vaughn. Yeah, man, I'm going to be praying for y'all, and I'm going to be hoping for y'all that this message touches you and leads to a life with a partner in the future that you can really say you have a great relationship with. So God bless all of you. You know, that's another thing. You know, if God is love, then I would suggest that you get to know the one who is love, if you're going to really understand what love is and what romantic love looks like. So, Coach Vaughn, peace.